Okay, so this may sound kind of woe is me, if that even came out right. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so this could go into what's the video called? I think it's called Amazing Grace. And in that video, I talk about the whole thing of like being able to see other people as kids, but not being able to see yourself as one because you're not allowed to. This can also go into my Street Kids Aren't Seen as Kids, Why Turning Red is my favorite movie videos, a couple other ones that I can't remember right now, and even kind of my Drawing-a-File Agenda videos, or playlist, because this ties into that as well. Not really what I'm about, kind of. And even some other video, which actually no, that might have been the Why Turning Red is my favorite movie video. So actually, no, never mind. What else was it? I think maybe that was it. This also makes me think back to actually a couple videos. Like, I have a couple, especially one that comes to mind that I uploaded probably in like 2023 or 2024, around the time where I really started posting on this channel again, and I went from like the main abuse evidence channels to this one. There was one video that was either titled or the thumbnail says people care more about you because you're younger or something like that, and I went into like how that's not true. And I don't even think I talked about some of the same things then that I mention pretty often now, with like, I mean, of course you're always going to get the whole you're a child and you need to go home insult or different things like that, or the I'm grown, you're a child mess from people. But I feel like the same way my abusers would either play the you're a child or the you're grown and you're just childish game, especially when you're like a street kid, you're going to have a lot of people try to grownify you, whether it's for sexual predatory reasons or just people playing those types of games with you to like make themselves feel better about not quote unquote helping you or treating you like crap. They'll just try to act like you're more grown than you actually are, which is what I talk about a lot lately. And one of the things about it is that I've already been having a midlife crisis since like 14 anyways, maybe even a little younger, so none of this has been like helping. And it's like there's already the thing of like me being pretty sure I'm intersex since 7, and then recent things, especially when I was in Cali, but even a recent situation with this one person that was telling me about how I already look pretty androgynous, like just my facial features, and they were talking about have you ever tried going by different pronouns and a whole bunch of other stuff like that. I don't want to go into any more confusion to make me more confused than I already am about everything. But I will say, my issue isn't about whether I'm male or female. That's honestly really irrelevant. And gender roles have been reversed for forever due to generational trauma and different agendas that have been pushed, so that's kind of up in the air. My actual issue, especially within the past few years, I guess, is like, am I really a quote unquote grown ASS woman like I've been getting told for years? Or, well, yeah, that's actually the question. I don't think there was there, what was the other thing after? I don't think there was anything after the or. I think that was like the main question. And it's like, it's all really just manipulation. And it's like, it's already bad enough that I've been pretty developmentally delayed, not even just mentally, but like physically, due to like all the different iatrogenic and etc. health issues I got that I've been gaslit about, where I'm just like really underweight and underdeveloped anyways. And so it just makes things even more confusing, because it's like, well, crap, supposedly I'm supposed to be some grown ASS woman, but I can't tell. And then it's like, especially in like the chomo situations. Like I've said before plenty of times, I always have to be the grown ESS woman, quote unquote. But then the 50-year-old is always the young man or the boy, and then I'm supposed to supposedly get a job and help us get a house and pay our bills to it. That, which I'm not even really gonna go into that. But like I said though, honestly, like, from the people that claim to think I'm 38 to a lot of the people giving me these grown woman guilt trippy insults, it's typically not even the sexual predatory people. They're like a side thing. It's generally just like people that are just trying to like play mind games with me to make their self feel better about, I guess, guilt they have about what they feel they could do to help me, but they aren't doing. And personally, I don't believe in the quote-unquote help stuff. I know that you save yourself, so it's not like I want anything from people, but I can't say that's like a big part in it. But I'm about to get to the point though now, because I'm already 6 minutes in. So, like, this has just been getting me more and more. Like I said, I knew my life was over before 10, and I didn't expect to live this long, and it's like, it just makes things more and more scary. And I think back, I meant to mention this minutes ago actually, going back to the whole people care more about you because you're younger, quote unquote. That was said by a couple people when I was in Cali, and honestly that's bull crap. Whether I'm quote unquote young really depends on the person, their perspective, to be honest. But I mean, yeah, I was younger than the people saying this, but it's like, it's kind of whatever. But I think about this one lady who would tell me about like her trauma symptoms, and she was 26 when I met her, and how like she's, I guess, 28 now or something. She would talk about how she still feels like a teenager because she had to escape her situation at 17. It was really bad. She's pretty much been hidden homeless since. Not even because she like can't work, but because she does work, but she gets these exploitative jobs that take advantage of her in all types of ways. And she was also in a pretty racist area as well, where people were like playing a lot of games with her. But the situation is better for her now, but I would still say she's like in an exploitative job. But either way, anywho, to get to the point again, because I kind of went on a side rant. So, I think especially, well, she wasn't reported as a missing person, so her situation was different from like a lot of situations. She didn't have to like lay low and hide till 18, and she also couch surfed, which is still kind of iffy. But of course there was the usual chomo situations that come in and play hero. But it's like, even still then, you're so focused on surviving, just like you are before you run away or get kicked out, or you become a dumped out foster kid, or even just being a foster care in general. You're so focused on surviving, you don't get to like do the stereotypical, I don't know, going to like a rock concert or becoming emo for like a couple years stuff, or even becoming emo in your teens and even into your 20s. You don't get to do all of that, and you just get developmentally arrested, and then you're so grownified, and it just confuses you. And it's like, people are always talking about people being quote unquote childish and how they should have been grown up and all those different things. But it's like, people are just doing what they're told they have to do and being who they're told they have to be. Just like when people say quote unquote children, whatever that means, because I don't believe in the idea of a child or the concept of a childhood. None of that is real. Even the adult thing is very heavily rooted in like the Matrix and the whole get a job thing and do this career and do that and do this. It's all Matrix stuff. But it's like, even when it comes to people saying kids want to be grown and stuff like that, people are just doing what they have to do and trying to take care of themselves because nobody else is going to. It doesn't matter if they're 7, it doesn't matter if they're 10. And what was I going to say with that? Oh yeah, but then another thing as well is like, one of the bad things about it is that you spend your whole quote unquote, I don't even want to say childhood, you spend like your extremely younger years, I guess I could say, like taking care of yourself, raising your siblings, maybe taking care of and raising your parents, and being a people pleasing codependent, which you may never stop doing that, depending on the person, and playing unpaid therapist for a bunch of people that don't give a crap about you. You're doing all of that, and then it's like by the time you get to even like your early or mid-teen years, like you're probably going to start to realize and even have it pointed out to you, even by people your age if you get to be around them, how developmentally delayed you are and stuff like that, and how like maybe you like age regress and stuff like that, which I know like I always like researching like CPTSD and trauma symptoms and different stuff like that, the spiritual and physical side. So like I know like I was doing age regression at even 8, not like anything like extreme, but like there were these baby bottle candy things, and whenever I was able to get one, I would just like cut a hole in like the end of the bottle, and then I would just like put water or whatever in there, and I would just like pretend to be a baby to make myself feel better. And that was when I was 8. So like I did age regression then, but I didn't get to do that like at other points in my life. And didn't like having a stuffed animal for a little bit of time. When I was 12, this was early 12 I guess, or maybe mid 12. That didn't last long before of course I got in trouble for that, but stuff like that. I know like a lot of homeless people do the age regression and just the comfort of it. They like have plushies or stuffed animals. That's a good coping mechanism. But anyway, to get back to the point, because I went off somewhere else kind of. You're already developmentally delayed, and you're constantly being reminded of how you're childish, and you just can't like do normal things that some other people who aren't in like, well, the few people that may be lucky enough to have decent family systems, you can't do the normal stuff that they're able to do. Like crap, I mean, I was even like watching some tech founder startup type video, and the guy was like maybe 25 or something, and he was talking about how he likes to hang out with friends. And it's like, if I was sitting around talking about wanting to hang out with friends, like I would have people telling me about how I'm a childish and all that stuff, and I'm not even 25. And it's like you definitely will have like a lot of mind games played with you about what you are and aren't, and a lot of like weird ageist stuff happen in certain situations more than others. Like I was thinking about finally making another one of these videos talking about this yet again earlier, and I was thinking about I used to talk about this all the time on my abuse evidence channels. I didn't play with toys anyways, because like it was just too boring and it wasn't a good coping mechanism in my eyes, because I saw it as something that was supposed to be like a coping mechanism to dissociate and keep me from crying and thinking about all the neglect. So I didn't play with toys anyways. But when I was 8, maybe 9, my dad liked going to pawn shops, and so one of the times we went to a pawn shop, we had got some Star Trek collector's items that we were planning on saving and hoping that they'll be worth some money one day. And one day, my Jezebella grandma, of course, my dad's mom, she went in my room and started digging through stuff, and she threw away me and my dad's Star Trek collector's items when I was 8 or 9 because, quote unquote, you're too old to play with toys. And it's like, I don't even play with toys anyways. I didn't even consider them toys. And it sucks because I could probably sell those right now. I probably could have sold them even some years ago. But yeah, I think about situations like that, and like I always say, people are abusive grown-ups are always going to go back and forth between the whole you're a child and you're supposed to be grown stuff, or you're childish type stuff. They're always going to use those insults, especially to at least 30. And one of the things with that, oh no, I forgot about this. I even think back to those months back when that lady would come to me crying and asking for advice for stuff, and then whenever I would give feedback, which I shouldn't have been doing anyways. I shouldn't have been allowing myself to be this unpaid therapist again. But whenever I would give feedback, she'd be like, "You're too opinionated to be a child who's never had sex before." In fact, no, this wasn't even when I was giving her advice for something. She was talking about just different things I've said in general, but this was especially after I talked about the issue behind the idea of harm reduction. But I'm not even going to go into that. So, yeah. And I think that, like, another thing, this is irrelevant to, like, the main topic, but another thing with this, aside from, like, people, aside from ageism, because I started dissociating, is that I feel like I know that especially with, like, the situations I've been in and am in, the fact that I really only went up to 5th grade, and, then also racial stuff, people are often going to have these ideas that, like, I'm just parroting stuff that I heard from somebody else, or that, pretty much that I'm just parroting stuff that I heard from somebody else, if they don't just do the whole, you're just stupid, or you're just schizo, or whatever type stuff, when I'm talking about certain things, because they feel like, well, you're just uneducated, homeless, traumatized black kids, so you don't know anything, so you're just parroting stuff, or you're just too opinionated, or you were just told whatever by whoever. I don't even know if that came out right. But that's kind of like a side thing that comes to mind with that. And I'm trying to think about what else I wanted to say. Oh yeah, but going back to the lady talking about she still feels like a teenager. Like, she talks about that, or talked about that often, and how she just wanted to, like, be emo, and she feels like she's going through a rebellious teenager phase, which I hate ageist terms like that. Like, I have a whole playlist titled Ageism and Cataclysm Repositioning, and then I have my other playlist titled Youth Are Infantilized and Adultified all at the same time, or something like that. And pretty much, like, people have this idea that, like, kids are supposed to be this certain way, but it's like, these concepts were created by media, Hollywood media, that mostly revolved around stereotypes of middle class and upper middle class Caucasian kids at that. Well, a lot of unrealistic stuff as well. But it revolved around them and the rock music era, which that was that and the hippie agenda. I mean, all these different, like, music industry agendas were just pushed on people to drag them down certain forms of trauma-based mind control. Like, rock music had Caucasian kids especially, like, unaliving themselves, and also being told that they need to, like, sacrifice others. Hip-hop told melanated people, especially true Yashriel, and just people under certain forms of trauma-based mind control, that they need to take out their own people that look like them. And I think that even goes into the whole quote-unquote black people don't unalive themselves mess. I mean, of course, that's also rooted in, like, a lot of push through, belong, suffering, slave mentality type stuff. But I feel like it's so weird, though, but that's kind of irrelevant. But I think about that as well, because, like, due to the whole rock music and the spirits and that attaching to the kids and making them unalive themselves, like, unaliving yourself was made as, like, some quote-unquote white person thing, but that's really bullcrap. But yes, I get what she meant more and more every day. That's the point that I'm getting at. Not that I didn't understand what she meant then, but it's like, I mean, when you have to spend time laying low, and then, like, you're in, like, these racial areas where people already don't want you around their kids, like when I was in Cali especially, because you're a street kid, but people acted even more funny due to, like, a lot of racial stuff whenever I did, like, come across people around my age. And then it's also, like, the dronophile agenda, and I would be told, you need to, like, find friends your own age, and then when I would try, I would hear the whole quote-unquote pedo bullcrap from, like, women, or really this one lady in the dronophile agenda. And it's like, well, crap, you told me to find a fly or something just landed on my leg. You tell me to find friends my own age, and then when I do, you start claiming I'm a quote-unquote PDF, which that word is used so wrong anyways. People just, it's just a lot of like false narratives being pushed with a lot of that stuff. But you claim I'm a quote-unquote PDF because I'm in school and they're not, and I mean, of course I wasn't in school. Like, I don't know what you expect. And I was just thinking more about this earlier, like an hour ago, because I guess it's a graduation time, and it's just like seeing people walking around in caps and gowns and stuff, and even people talking about how they're about to go on summer break, and just thinking about like how my life was over before 10 even, and how like that's just like never gonna happen for me. It's just like always kind of upsetting. And I know that like I should move on. I even know that like it wouldn't have really worked out, especially because like I became really chronically ill by 14 anyways, but it's still kind of like upsetting when I think about it. And just generally, I know I talk about it all the time and I have for years, but yeah, I don't get along with people my age because they make me nervous and like I can barely talk around them, which I remember being cursed out for the times of every once in a blue moon, like out in public, kind of, when I would like encounter people around my age throughout the years. But it's still like, I mean, I'd rather be around people my age than be around like a bunch of older people that are like toxic and abusive and talking junk to me, accusing me of stuff, or just like straight up sexually harassing me and touching all over me and all types of stuff. I'd rather just be around people my age due to like, well, because of that and just the other obvious reasons, even though I know that like I would just completely embarrass myself the entire time. And so I think about that a lot. And I was even reminded of that like earlier. Like, I just don't even know what else to... Dang, it's 22 minutes in already? Crap. And even though, especially with the Dronophile agenda, the people that feel like they're fighting against quote-unquote pedos are now pushing this narrative that anybody 16 or 17 plus is an adolescent, which is so weird that like this is coming up now. And they feel like, because these are women who have like been essayed that are pushing these narratives, and also younger people, but especially like women who have been essayed. When they say these things and they push these narratives, they feel like, oh, I'm fighting against quote-unquote pedos that are trying to act like they're more of a kid than they really are. But it's like, you're pushing these narratives that actually are grownifying teenagers and young people and making them like more grown than they really are, which does nothing but make actual sexual predators say things like, well, since you claim a 16-year-old and a 17-year-old and 18, 19, 20, whatever, aren't really adolescents and they're past the adolescence phase, which I don't know when this, like, I don't even know when some of the stuff was made up, like, I guess yesterday, but they're like, since you're saying this, and that means that I'm not wrong for being 75 with a 16-year-old, and it's really weird how, like, these women who claim that they're against sexual predators are pushing narratives made by sexual predators for sexual predators in the name of, like, keeping people in their, like, I don't know, it's all just really weird. But I have a whole playlist about all the issues with the minor crisis and the Dronophile agenda, which goes hand in hand. And really all of it is really just to push the digital ID anyways. Nobody's actually going to start helping abuse victims ever. But it's still funny though how it all works. But it's so weird since adolescence was always considered 9 to 25 and technically extends to 32, but that's not really that recognized. Which is part of why you're a federal minor till 25 or 26. But it's just so weird to me that, like, these women think that claiming adolescence ends at 16 or 17 is going to somehow help younger people not get preyed upon. Like, I don't know. It's like they're just so weird and sick and backwards. And I think that they should just probably just stop talking about these things, 'cause they're just making everything worse, to be honest. Not to mention the overuse of the word pedo. And I even think back to the idea that age of consent, legal adult, and the pedo word even go hand in hand. Because it's like, not only does the word pedo have absolutely nothing to do with who is or isn't 18, but this false mindset that's just like inaccurate for a lot of reasons is the same mindset and rhetoric. That's why people feel like once they turn 18, they're now quote unquote a grown ESS woman or man, and they can run off into the sunset with the same chomo that they've been talking to since they were 9. It's not funny, but it's just like really ironic. Like the people that are playing social justice warrior and they're claiming to be talking against supposed PDFs are actually helping and aiding them and pushing all of this pro PDF rhetoric. But anywho, I think about how due to the situation, I haven't realized that I was a teenager, a quote unquote kid, till it's too late. But generally, I think one of the real things is that I'm tired of like constantly to try to figure out how I'm gonna take care of myself throughout my entire life. Like I said, I made up the term at 6. If you want something done at all, you gotta do it yourself. But not even really just that. Generally, I think that maybe one of the big things is that getting insulted by police about, well, for one, getting sexually harassed by them during the whole Shane situation. But even before that, when I was in other states even, like, just being told that I needed to, like, grow up and figure things out and all that by them. And then the sexual harassment, that as well. That's, like, a big thing, I think, because I feel like even before, like, a lot of I started getting told even more by, like, people who aren't sexual predators, the whole grown ESS woman thing. I mean, aside from, like, relatives telling me I'm childish, that always happened. But, like, I mean, like, once being, like, a street kid, definitely the first situation I do think of was a sexual predator situation, though. But it's still kind of like, why do I have to be the grown woman for everybody else, though, and show up for everybody else, and then, like, even if I can't do that for myself, and then I feel like the whole possible intersex thing doesn't help, because it's like, I don't even visibly, physically feel like that, but I'm not about to run around calling myself Zimzer or something. That's not going to help at all. I'm trying to think if I have anything else to say about that. Oh yeah, but like generally, I just want to be an emo edgelord. Like, I remember a few months ago, I was really trying to like scrape up money to get a skateboard, even though I can't ride a skateboard, but I mean, I guess I'd have to learn. But I feel like it'd probably be hard with my health issues though. But I still wanted to learn, and I wanted to like become this like master skateboarder in like 3 days. And oh yeah, because I started dissociating again. Pretty much I just wanted to go to the skate park as much as possible before I'm quote unquote too old, and because I feel like I'll get insulted, even though like when I do go, there's always like people that are like in their 20s, late 20s, 30s, some teenagers and even some younger people. But crap, I mean, some of the main times like they were like, I guess 30 or 40-year-olds that like had been skateboarding their whole life or whatever. And it's like, I also feel like I've been given this like really bad false idea about what is and isn't childish as well. Because it's like, if I say that I like Batman, or that like I like the movie Turning Red, or I like the movie Dear Dumb Diary, then like there's these certain people that have like, that I really feel like have just been screwing my head up, that'll say, well, that's childish and I'm too old for that. But it's like, but if I wasn't out in the open and I lived with parents, would I still be childish for liking those things? Or would it then be considered normal? I think that one of the biggest things about this is that, for one, people see quote-unquote homelessness, which I really hate that term, as like a rock bottom. So when you're in that situation, if they're not doing the whole there's help out their lives and the whole, or the just go home stuff, they're saying, well, you shouldn't be focused on going to the skate park or being emo. You should be focused on getting a job, as if I had the job, I'd be able to get a place anyways. And then it's also assuming that living outside is actually the bad thing or the issue or a bad thing. That's like people projecting in their own assumptions about what living outside is like and who I am and what I have going on. But it's like, because they feel like living outside or being quote unquote homeless is a rock bottom, they feel like I need to drop doing normal age appropriate things and just living life and just doing normal people stuff. They feel like I need to drop that and then try to jump into some career field that I would never get in with no credentials. And like, how do I put this? Like, they feel like I need to I don't know, like drop doing normal stuff and become like the product manager or something, and do the quote-unquote normal thing and do the quote-unquote grown-up stuff or whatever, I guess, because I need a place to stay, as if that's gonna fix anything or solve issues, or as if that's even feasible. And I'd be lucky if somebody can rent it to me, to be honest, but that's still besides the point. And I think that's the big thing, which I wanted to make a video anyways about, like, how people think that being quote-unquote homeless is a bad thing, or it's a rock bottom, or in their eyes it would be their rock bottom. So they feel like they automatically assume that, like, I have to be depressed or something, and so they insult me and they project their own feelings and insecurities onto me. And then it also causes people to, like, talk junk to me they assume, wait a minute, this isn't coming out how I wanted to at all. They assume that I must be depressed, and so that since they assume that I must be depressed, they also insult me about the depression that I don't have. And so then, like, I have people go on these rants about how I need to be grateful that God woke me up this morning, assuming that I'm not grateful. And then they also will say things like, it could be worse, but it's like, I already know things could be worse. That's why I'm out here, because now things aren't worse. I'm out here so things aren't worse. Like, but people have these, like, weird assumptions about how this has to be my rock bottom. And there's also the people that are typically sexual predator chomos anyways. Like the chomo priest back in Cali that would be like, you're a beautiful 13-year-old and all that bullcrap. Anywho, he will, like, play this game where, since you don't want to be my living sex slave, you don't really want help. The typical lies that people say in these types of situations: you don't really want help, and you have to hit your rock bottom, and what's the other thing? It's something else that I can't remember. It's not just the hit your rock bottom thing. You have to be ready for change and those different things, because I don't want to be his living sex slave. And so anyhow, it's like assuming that living outside necessarily has to be the bad thing, or is the issue or the bad thing in my eyes, I guess. This is not coming out how I want it to. And then, like, insulting me about how I either supposedly am doing horrible and don't want change. And one of the funny things about it, though, is that, like, just like when you're in the abuse situation, other people can tell you that your situation is bad if they want to admit that and not gaslight you about you being abused. But if you were to say, my situation is bad or I feel like things are going horrible, which I don't feel like that anyways in my current situation. But if you were to say that you feel that way, then people be like, you need to stop complaining and it could be worse. And there's they always have to do the whole starving kid in Africa line, which I mean, yeah, there definitely are like some nations that are like doing really bad there, but there's starving people everywhere. Like, I hate that people always have to do this whole put Africa down line, but I'm not even gonna go into that. I'm not even gonna go into that because then I'll be somewhere else. But it's like, it's just really annoying. And then the last thing, which I'm totally skipping something, don't even know if I really finished the last couple sentences, but the last thing as well is that okay, crap, what was it? Oh yeah, so having dreams about getting to go to school, and I have these all the time. So like I've been having these since honestly probably 12, to be honest. So, well, yeah, since 12. But I noticed that like whenever I would try to like do research on this, things like especially about the biblical or spiritual side, they come up when I like research this or Google it or whatever. And it's like, I mean, yeah, there definitely is a spiritual side to it. I mean, it could totally revolve around like lack, stagnation, retrogression, poverty delay, what's the other thing called? Being stuck in cycles and not passing spiritual tests and like staying in the same realm or level because like I'm not completing things that I need to be. It could definitely be because of that, but it's like I also still really do feel like it just has a lot to do with the fact that I wish I could like go to school, or more so, not even really that. That's not even really the thing. It's just like wanting to be around people like around my age. And like even in the dreams, I notice that like I do the same things that I would do and have done like in person in these like little, like when I got to go to school for that little bit of 3 months. Like things are pretty bad, and I was also extremely sick and being gaslit about it. But I did like try to like talk to people every now and then, but I was just too nervous most of the time. But I did try sometimes, and even like in other situations I've been in, I've like tried talking to people, but also a lot of people just aren't into the things that I'm into. And I feel like, especially when it comes to street kids in the West Coast, they were just into like a lot of things that I didn't approve of or agree with, and it was just like a totally different culture. So I just couldn't get along with it. But to get back to the point, so I would like at least try to, how do I even put it? Like just being around people that are like around my age, even if I don't or didn't talk to them, I just like doing that, I guess. I guess that's like the only way I can really describe it. Like I remember, I probably have videos of this, but I know I have plenty of videos about this on my different abuse evidence channels. I think it would specifically be the part 4 channel and the part 5 channel. When I got put in the Jim Crow self-confined placement, which is a long story, a mess. When my mom put me in there, I was supposedly, well, I don't know, the staff lied so much about what was really going on, it was just like really confusing. But pretty much we weren't allowed to like ride the bus with the quote-unquote normal kids. And I wanted to be around like other people my age so bad to where like I would sneak and get on the bus. And like I didn't have any classes set up, cause like the staff would pretty much always say that like they would lie and say that we weren't really like a part of the school, we were just on their campus. But there's just a lot of mess with that's like really hard to explain in this video. Like I probably have to like show like some of the old videos where I talked about this, because I don't really remember much about it, and then it was just so confusing and it's hard to explain. And so anywho, I would sneak and get on the bus, and I didn't have any classes that I could go to. So like I would like, there was this one time where I snuck and I went to gym class, or I would just like go to the bathroom or just hang out wherever and just like try to talk to people and sneak and talk to like the other kids for like the little couple seconds I had before somebody would notice, or if someone noticed, or really just like until the self-confined staff were like let my mom know that I wasn't at the placement or whatever in the world. So I would do that, and that's one example that comes to mind quickly that hopefully is a good enough example of this. Like, in the dreams, even if I didn't talk to anybody, well, I'm saying didn't, like I'm not having these dreams like literally every day. Even if I don't talk to anybody, just being around like other people, especially people that aren't like abusive older people that are like judging me, I guess I could say, just like abusing me in some form or fashion, that was good enough for me. Even if I was too scared to talk to anybody, just being in the classroom or just being at they don't even have recess in anything other than elementary, but just like being at the quote-unquote recess or the gym or whatever and stuff like that. And then also I do feel like, since as my situation got worse, and also my brain damage got worse due to like, one, the iatrogenics, and then two, just like the health issues, because like the SIBO, the H. pylori, those different things, the SIFO, they release mycotoxins and endotoxins that make it hard for like your brain to function, then the low blood sugar, and then also poor digestion, because the gut and the brain is connected, and then like pathogens when you have leaky gut going through the gut-brain barrier, stuff like that. So my brain function was just pretty bad, especially then. On top of the stress, but especially the physical health issues that I developed. And so it was really hard to like take in anything that I was supposed to be learning in the little 3 months of school I did go to. Like, I even remember there was just this thing where like I just didn't know what was going on anyways. Like, honestly, I mean, a lot of people can't read anyways or do math, so it doesn't really matter, but like I really did want to understand it. But I was like, I mean, I didn't go to middle school, and then I'm supposed to like now understand all this stuff. But generally, I mean, most people didn't really understand it anyway, so I guess it didn't matter much. But it mattered to me, and I wanted to learn it, but nobody gave a crap. So, anyhow, it was just too hard for me to, like, really keep up with everything. And so, like, I would be, like, trying to pass and trying to take notes, but I just couldn't. And the dreams are pretty much the same way. Like, I'm trying to pass the test, but I couldn't. Now, my recent one definitely did have a mostly spiritual meaning. They can go into, like, what a lot of the videos talk about. But it's hard for me to just see these dreams in like just this spiritual sense of like, well, I'm supposed to be passing this spiritual test. And I've been falling apart spiritually the past couple months anyways, especially since I've been where I'm at now. So I mean, that is kind of up in the air, but it's hard for me to just see things in like this spiritual or even biblical type lens when like I know that there's like a very physical what could I say? I don't want to say rational, because I don't like the European idea of logic and just believing in the physical side of everything and acting like the supernatural isn't real. But it's hard for me to like not pay attention to the very physical, tangible, easy to understand meaning of these dreams. And it's like, crap, should I just try to like go to like some college or trade school just to like have people to talk to every day that aren't like weird chomo sex preds? I've seen these comments that were talking about the situation with the David guy, which there's so much I could say about that. I remember my sister used to listen to like that one song that's very popular in the situation. As somebody that got very demon possessed by 7, especially 8 to 10, due to corn addiction and then also all the trauma and all of that, and also due to attachment issues, has had issues with limerence obsessions, romantic obsessions, and favorite persons. The whole inside of my mind you died thing, whenever that part would come on in the song, I would tell my sister like, this is some unalive or obsession mess. And of course I would know, as somebody that literally had limerence obsession so bad as even a 7-year-old, that people, other kids' parents wanted to press charges on me when I was in elementary and stuff like that. That's how bad I had limerence obsessions and attachment issues due to all the emotional neglect and different stuff. But anywho, now that I've said that, to get to the point more, there was this one comment or a couple, and they pretty much were saying in response to this supposed psychological analysis of David that since he was homeschooled, he still saw himself as a teenager, and they were trying to act like that was the issue, and that, like, kind of like in the video where I said that I worry about, like, still trying to, like, play out this one in teen love that I know isn't going to happen thing, even, like, into my 30s or something. Well, I mean, shoot, I hope not, but I know I mentioned something like that in the video, that, like, I worry about, like, since I haven't got to, like, do normal things, that I'm going to continue to, like, try to do those things, but when it's no longer age appropriate, pretty much. And like, I can totally understand that point, but that has absolutely nothing to do with the situation. That's just an excuse. Like, I mean, literally, especially with the crime committed, like, if somebody was to say something like that about them dating, okay, maybe, but literally, ever since the whole situation came out, if you ask me, it just sounds like an industry sacrifice. And then also, he wasn't or isn't that old, so I mean, it's not like he would really be expected to be that much different than maybe if he was like 18 or 19 or something, because wasn't he like 20 or 19 or something anyways? I don't even know, but it's like, that's like a horrible excuse, and that really has nothing to do with the issue. And especially as somebody who, like, could relate to that, the whole I wasn't homeschooled, but just like the whole wanting to, like, be friends with people and all that. Like, I could relate to what people are saying I don't even know if this is coming out right, but I could get that, but that's not the issue at hand. Hopefully that even made sense. I'll put in a screenshot, not at this part, but at the beginning of the video, if I can find the comment now. But that's just not the issue at hand. But I could totally understand how that could happen, as somebody that's been thinking a lot about that. And it's like, it even makes me think about, like, how I had mentioned how, like, when I was 10, I would, like, let the different girls that I like know that I just had mommy issues and wanted my mom to love me, and that was, like, and that all of it, like, people don't like to hear it. Well, people never did like for it to be admitted. The religious people didn't want anybody to admit it, and now the alphabet and different community people don't want anyone to admit it. But liking the same gender and all other paraphilias or trauma symptoms anyways. And so pretty much I would, like, let everybody know that, and, like, let the different girls that I like know that when I was 10 and stuff. And I mentioned this in some support group, and somebody was like, a self-aware child scary, and I'm just like, just having somebody refer to me now or at any point in my life as a quote-unquote child. I mean, yeah, I'm used to the whole you're a child and you shouldn't even be out here, and I know you have somewhere you're supposed to be at insult. I get that all the time, but, like, having somebody acknowledge me as, like, a kid in a like, manipulative Jezebel, like, I'm trying to, like, play games with you way, it just makes me really uncomfortable, like, especially looking back at when I was 10. I mean, I didn't view myself as a child then, and I don't even believe in really the concept of a child. And I know you can, due to the Geronophilogen and the minor crisis and the pedo stuff that word being thrown around more now, you can't even really talk about things like that without somebody trying to, like, turn that into, like, some weird sexual thing it doesn't have to be. But generally speaking, I mean, the idea of a childhood is pretty false. I mean, how many people actually get this, like, your parents take care of you, you're not getting beat on because it's discipline and spare the rod, spoil the child, you're not getting strangled. Luckily, my parents weren't religious, but I mean, of course, they were still, like, the typical, you're not playing, unpaid therapists to even random people. You're not a surrogate spouse. You're not trying to scrape up money at 10 to get something to eat. All of that how many people actually like have that stereotypical carefree, not worried about bills, quote unquote childhood, whatever that really means. And one of the things with the Gerontophile agenda, it's like people are never going to give youth the rights, but people are going to keep Gerontifying youth more and more. I think it's about to start raining though, so I got to hurry up and use the bathroom. Probably shouldn't even said that in this video, but yeah, so that was the last thing. I really hope that made some type of sense. I mean, I doubt that anybody even watches my videos even 6 minutes in, but like just seeing some people like coming from some event center with like caps and gowns on. I'm not even really sure if these were high schoolers or college kids, to be honest. But I know that there's the high school graduation stuff as well. But crap, see, one thing that I would think about is like, if you do have a graduation for like anything, like I think especially for like a college or a trade school, which I mean I have too many health issues for like the trade stuff anyways. But I mean if I could do it, I would do it because I like that type of stuff. But it's just not something that I'm gonna get hired for. But it's like, anywho, if you don't have parents to show up, not only like is it embarrassing, but it's also kind of like, I mean, what if you just like break down in tears like at your graduation and it's like embarrassing or something? And it's like, I mean, yeah, you could get other people to come, like friends or whatever, or like your street parents and people you like met on the corner. And I mean, that's great, but I still feel like it's like I wouldn't want, it's like, okay, hold up, it goes back to the whole thing, like wanting parents but knowing that like most older people really aren't that safe, to where I wouldn't trust anybody to be in that position and have that type of role and control over me. Because like, I mean, every time I like see the usual abuse situations and then try to fight abusers and stuff, and they just run off into the sunset and play their usual games, it just reminds me of like why I should be glad that like I've been able to run away and not have parents, because they're just gonna abuse you anyways. But it's like still the thought of having like actual safe parents and them like not doing stuff for me, being around me and like I guess being there for me. It sounds cute, but I know that like it's still bull crappy. But it sounds cute. But people say truth is stranger than fiction, but I guess what sounds cute is unrealistically fiction, if that even makes sense, which I mean it probably doesn't. Racial side, and this also can go into the spiritual side. I've mentioned stuff like this before, I'm pretty sure anyways. So, okay, hold up, wait a minute. So this can also go into the video that I was gonna make, but I'm probably still going to try to make again, about the idea that pretty much if you don't have like a certain form of the Jezebel spirit, like the more feminine one and not like the maskless one, then, well, no, I can't even say that, because actually technically, well, yeah, I can't say that in this example. So no, that's not about to make sense. Pretty much if you're not male-centered, then like you're supposed to be a stud dyke or whatever people call it. So that, but then also due to like generational trauma, I know I mentioned before, I have like 2 playlists about how even with the white supremacist form of a schizonarch, which is also the Jezebel spirit, there's different forms, of course, like in now called quote-unquote narcissism and stuff like that. That's the Jezebel spirit, and a couple other marine spirits. And I mentioned before plenty of times that generally a lot of quote-unquote black and white people have that. I even like plan to make a video on people pointing out alphabet people, well, specifically the quote-unquote white ones, whether they're guys or women, like taking on like these thug type personas, or especially what's called out is how the guys act like the stereotypical black woman, but that's because of the Jezebel spirit. There's also the peacock spirit, but the stereotypical angry black woman stuff is the Jezebel spirit. Just like how it's the same thing as like the preppy white cheerleader girl. And I also in the playlist I have about these things, I show plenty of clips like the Mean Girl, and there's people in that movie. I never watched it, but I've seen like clips and stuff. There's people in that movie of like different genders and ethnicities, so it's not just like the angry Jezebel black woman stereotype. So to get to the point, one of the ways that people get the Jezebel spirit that's a part of the Marine Kingdom as well is through SA, along with all the other family trauma. Two messed up parents is common. Maybe you had a single mom, and so that's prevalent, at least in certain ways that it manifests in true or quote-unquote black culture. And so the point that I'm getting at is that also, due to the Jezebelic stereotypes that people feel like you have to fit, especially like with the hypersexualization of melanated girls and all that. And really, well, yeah, because I'm mostly speaking on like this side of the cultural thing. Due to that, I'm also more likely to be labeled off as childish and mature at the same time, even with people, especially in a place like where I'm at now, claiming to think I'm 38, because there's a certain way that people expect me to be that at least I don't dress like, I guess. Like, there's also a certain way that people feel like I should talk or act that goes along with the typical cultural stereotypes and even just the Jezebelic baddie type stuff. Which, one of the things about it though is that I've never been all that feminine to begin with. So I mean, even if I did become like extremely Jezebelic and narky, since I'm already really masculine, I would still not manifest it in that the stereotypical like Jezebelic ghetto girl form. It still wouldn't even come out like that. But that's what people expect. And so like I even think back to my relatives saying that like I dress childish because I pretty much wouldn't walk around naked, which I have no idea why I even would walk around half naked, because I've been chronically and severely underweight for years, so I wouldn't have anything to show half naked. So, and crap, I can't get people to leave me alone with 3 shirts on, so that would not help. But I don't feel comfortable even dressing like that anyways. But yeah, so I would get called childish for stuff like that too. And I also think about like even now, like people just don't expect me to look how I look or wear what I wear pretty much. But sometimes I still like do have people expecting me to be these certain ways. And like I'm talking about mainly other people of true Yashrael, and not even like other people, not other like ethnic groups. Like sometimes still I'll have like these house-filled niggery type people will like expect me to be like wanting to steal something from them or something. But other than that, generally I think there's also a big side that like I'm supposed to be like trying to have 30 boyfriends and walking around half naked and stuff. And since I'm not doing that, I'm childish, because there's a certain way that people feel like I should be by a certain age, which is still so weird to me, because as somebody that's like been hypersexual since 3 anyways, due to generational curses and even trauma stuff, it's like I've been hypersexual, but it's like people want you to be hypersexual in a certain way that like appeals to them, I guess, that they find attractive. Like, I don't even know how to put it. Like, it's all good when they do it, it's a problem when I do it. Like, this is not coming out how I want it to. I don't know how to how to like explain what I'm trying to say right now. But like how do I even put this? Like, okay, so with the baddie stereotype, Jezebelic like person, there's like a certain way that there's certain mannerisms that they have due to like the marine spirits and stuff, like a certain seductive type way that they like move around, that they like walking and different things like that, even with guys. And it's like, I've been hypersexual but never in that form, but I also think the fact that I'm not that feminine plays a big role in why I don't like fit these stereotypes of how acting my age, whatever that's supposed to mean. This isn't coming out right, but like how I'm supposedly supposed to be doing that. I feel like maybe if I was like more feminine, then like people wouldn't have something to say. Like, for example, like, okay, if I didn't like Batman and I didn't like Mario, but like I liked I don't know, Princess Tiana or something. I mean, well, people still consider that childish maybe, but like, I don't know. I feel like that would be more acceptable to people, and that's like one of the issues. And then either yesterday or Monday, I was at this one place, and sometimes like college kids and even I guess it's maybe seniors, whatever grade you're in when you're 17 or 18 typically. Anywho, they volunteer at this one resource center, and this one guy who's related to some people that work there, he had asked some college kids, and these ones that were there, they were in like their mid-20s, some early 20s, and he asked them, what do you guys want to be when you grow up? And that was really interesting to me, because it's like, okay, so why are they asked this? But I'll have people walk up to me even when I was 16 and ask me, what do I do for a living? And this goes into the thing that I was saying, which is that when you're an orphan, you're not going to get the grace that like other people have pretty much, or especially like if you're in certain situations. Then I kind of just got into a debate with somebody a couple minutes ago who's saying that like they have a degree and they went to school for this, and adolescence ends before 11. And it's like, this research must be forever changing, because I've actually never heard that before. I mean, the new stuff that people are saying, which is that it ends at 16 and 17 as a part of the Gerontophile agenda, really was throwing me off. But to hear somebody say they went to school for it and it ends before 11 is really interesting. I remember like the high school books I read, and not even recent stuff that I've looked into that's more up to date. It was always 9 to 25, although I haven't heard anybody say the 9 part in a while. But it's always been like from the age of starting puberty to like pretty much the point where your brain's supposed to be mostly developed. But the before 11 thing is really weird. And then the last thing is some notes. Pretty much one of the things about it is that escaping the cash for kids system and escaping abuse / running away is supposed to be like your grace period to like be at peace enough. And it's like, I paid bills since I was 11. Let me have my break. And then the bad thing about running away is you can finally relax and try to do age appropriate things, or at least I guess maybe act age appropriate, but you're not really going to be allowed to, obviously. But I feel like the bad thing about it is that since you're not in like constant torture and extreme fight or flight, you do start to age regress a little bit too much, or maybe you could. But it's like, I'm not even really sure exactly what else necessarily age regression and what is age appropriate. And what's the other thing? At least more than before, I feel this can cause you to regress too much. And then going back to like not seeing this as a rock bottom, I could add that when you don't see your situation as horrible and you don't let people push that onto you, then they just say that you like being a quote-unquote bum, which can even go back to a lot of the soft and underbelly video situations. A lot of these people, they were like accused of this, but it's like, what does it really even mean anyways?